Let's do this, bro. I'm loving it.
What's up?
McDonald's, I'm loving it.
McDonald's.
What's up is, I'm just double dutying-ish, if you would call it double duty this week, Childcare fell through, so we're kicking buns. We're doubling up the workload. How's your week, man?
My week's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, we did an offsite yesterday with the marketing team.
Yeah, you did.
So me, Weiser, and Kira.
Yep.
And I've been planning it for a while, and I was looking forward to it because December's weird for many reasons, personally and professionally.
Totally.
Professionally, it feels often like you're in between time, like you're kind of waiting for the year to start.
It's a busy time.
We were working on our quarterly goals and our yearly goals and our 3-year vision and all that stuff, and there's this dead time between defining them, figuring out how to articulate them, and then sharing them with the team.
Yeah.
So there's this weird little window where everyone's just kind of finishing up their old projects, but they don't really know what they're looking forward to.
Yeah, totally.
And everyone is really hungry.
Yeah, you could see them waiting. You could feel them waiting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then personally, it's just busy for me too.
Well, yeah, it's birthday.
I got a birthday.
Holidays.
My wife has a birthday. My dad has a birthday. Some of my nieces and nephews have birthdays. Damn. It's just fully stacked.
Freaking
and then
December, dude.
Standard holidays. Yeah, we're
standard holiday.
Bacchus are strong in December.
There you are.
We're
dog.
We're really getting it.
Okay.
But it was cool. So it was super, super simple. Just kind of took the stuff that we were working on, and basically I just shared it in the context of, because here's some backstory. So Weiser and Kira have been kind of working together to do the bulk of our marketing stuff. So they do everything that's web related, design related stuff, all of those things. And then one of my big shifts for this year is going to be stepping into that role in a more active way.
Right.
And so I just wanted to set the stage, because anytime there is a new team dynamic, just want to get it out there and just explain to everybody.
People understand.
Yeah, here's where it came from. Yeah. Here's where it comes from. And so I shared a little bit of our journey in terms of, getting the business to where it needs to be, but also we're at a point now where each of us, me, you, and Charles, are able to kind of lean into the things that we really want to be able to do and we're really good at, and we can impact the organization in the biggest way possible.
Right.
Started there, and then talked a little bit about what it's like to work with me.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Which Weiser knows more than Kira. It's really, a lot of it's, building the relationship with Kira.
Right. Now there's an evolution, and now there's here's how it feels. Here's how I roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here, just some work related things in general in terms of flow and process, because we got a creative team, and this is a blanket statement, so it's not completely true, but in my experience, it's been probably 80% true with the people that I've met who do this kind of, I don't even want to say artistic creative work, because I think everybody's creative in their own way, but in roles like this, is people are really attached, proud, and passionate about the work they do. And one of the things that we're going to be doing a lot of is doing work reviews to make sure that the work we're doing is as close to the vision of this organization as possible.
Right.
And that's new.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Sometimes it can feel like someone's, stepping all over your work. And we just kind of laid the foundation for it. We're just engaging in the process right now. So you are not your work. We're doing work. We're critiquing the work. We're not critiquing you as an individual.
Right.
And if you feel something, that's actually good, because it probably means you're really proud of your work and want it to be better. And it's just going to be interesting to kind of create that space to be like, okay, cool. Objectively look at this. Look at it from a detached perspective. And so how can I make this better? And ultimately, we're in my mind, everything comes back to service. A lot of people who I talk to in marketing, falsely, it seems like they think they're in this self-driven creative pursuit to where it's just like, I want to make what I want to make because that's the truest version of it, and they don't see it through the lens of service, which is you're really doing it for something bigger than just you or your creative whims or impulses.
Yeah, and I think I think that'd probably be true even if people could sit with that for a while as well. Maybe not for everybody, but at least for the majority, it feels the best when it's somewhat altruistic and helpful. And I think it's also pretty wise, and we've said it from the beginning, how can we set up the understanding of our work to be backed by the values and the mission of the company and what we're trying to do so that it can be looked at as best we can without it reflecting the human being's, personal human value. And so, you can depersonalize it enough to get better. And it is interesting to walk that line because inevitably and always we want to do our best. Like you said, you care. It's great. You care a lot. And then you put a lot of work into something, probably a lot of mindset, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, all those things. And then your concept might not be actualized because it doesn't necessarily work with what we're trying to achieve or what's trying to be achieved by the department. And that can feel hard. At the same time, it can just be an opportunity for you to take that awesome idea, either pocket it and refine it later. Or, the other thing that has been interesting in some of the books I've been reading and listening to is there's either you can use it like as the power of regret and the negative aspect, or you can use it as the concept of like, well, at least, and instead of it being like all negative, you can be like, well, at least I learned this, that, and the other. At least this stuff came out of the work that I did. And I think that can be really helpful too. Again, that's a little bit of the redirecting of a leader at times, is to reframe as, maybe things get kicked in the bucket, be like, but hey, here's the things that we did grab from that.
Well, yeah, because the way I framed it was, even if we throw 80% of the stuff that we're working on away, everything that we're working on, whether it works or it doesn't, gets us closer to the truth of what is.
Yeah.
So it's not wasted time. It's not wasted energy. Mm-hmm. It's just part of the process.
That's so true for everything we've done too. And every part of at least my development through especially coffee, there's been things that I use in concepts and systems and whatever that I use in my life that have benefited as well, that maybe, don't always get applied consistently at work, but through the years I've learned things that have been really translatable and transferable. So I see that, and I think it's really awesome. When I'd love for us to consistently get better at that general concept, which is, like, we're doing the work, but we aren't the work.
We aren't the work.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not even saying that's hard, because it's like, well, somebody could sit in their little existential thing like, but I'm the one doing the work. And it's like, yeah, and it's my ideas potentially. And it's like, yeah, but you're so much more than just those ideas. So it's still valuable whether they come to full fruition or not. The value's still there. You're still pretty valuable. So
yeah, it's just like trying anything else.
That's a cool day.
Literally anything else. Yeah, it was super fun. It was, we went to Captain Stoker, which is our local coffee spot in Monterey. So
we do a lot of our brainstorming down in Monterey.
Monterey's the spot, dude.
Yeah, just that whole area through Monterey, Carmel Valley, Big
Seaside.
Sur. Getting
it's
over
easy
there,
enough to get to.
D-side with the other brother squad and what's the sleepy beach town? Pacific Beach? No,
Pacific Grove.
I was like
PG.
Not PB, but PG.
Yeah. So it was cool. We started there. We went and got coffee. Then we went to Ad Astra, which, if you're in Monterey area, great place for bread, pastry. They have coffee as well. And then went to Other Brother, which is a cool little brewery, and we got there when they kind of first opened, so they have a ton of space. It's really easy to do work there. The owners are super cool, and just started with one of the things that I found compelling about our little brainstorm was looking forward at that 3-year vision, which wasn't necessarily company directive, but more kind of personal, where we're kind of identifying these things that sharing those with the team, like, hey, here's what we came up with that feels true to us when we're looking forward. We don't want an incredibly, insanely overcomplicated business. We'd like to grow a business in a way where we can take care of our leadership team and be able to grow, certain percentage of us be able to grow together. And we don't feel pressured to, drop 15 cafes in over the next 5 years, because we really want to enjoy the day to day, and that's important. So started with that framing, and then just kind of ratcheted down into, here's what our yearly goals are, here's what our Q1 goals are, and just kind of wrapped it out. We made a little modified L10 meeting structure. Yeah. So similar to what we're doing here in about an hour. L10, did we talk about L10 on this before?
No, that's like a whole other podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a good structure.
It's a EOS meeting structure.
Yeah,
It's
we've
got
kind of adapted
scripted times
for
and scripted
ourselves.
things. Yeah, I like it a lot so far.
I think it's going to be helpful too.
So ours is essentially the same, except we have a work review in place of the scorecard.
Yeah.
So we're just looking at, we did the first one yesterday, which was the day after the offsite. So we did the offsite and everyone was like, yes, now what? I was like, well, cool. Usually our meetings will be on Monday, but let's do the meeting tomorrow. Just kind of get the reps in.
Yeah, because you get your flow going. That's wise too, because you kind of keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. And then the work reviews was pretty fun.
I'm sure. I heard you going through it, which was great, and talking about a couple of those things that I mean, I was dropping in, but you were talking about a video where we used that was overall a good video, but then there was some portions where it looked like, one of our team members was just not having a good day at work, and it was like the body language and things weren't actually reflective of how they feel.
Yeah.
And just being able to point that stuff out it's powerful, right? It's like somebody's going to notice that and they're going to gather something from it. And so that's not what we want to put out. And it's also not the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool.
It's fun. Those are hard ones to do, because I think, at least for me.
Yeah. What makes that hard? I feel like I'm like pretty blunt about it maybe. And
I don't know though. That's what I would think about myself too.
Oh, until you're like sitting in it or something?
Until I'm sitting in it. Well, just my experience overall in this company is that it's really easy to see things that you don't like and then internalize them for a really long time without specifically talking through them.
Yeah, I see.
And I'd felt that way about some of our, all this in the blanket of, I think we generally do a good job. But in terms of our social and our storytelling, and all of this comes back to me, I take full responsibility for it. And that was part of the conversation that we had yesterday, because Weiser was like, yeah, this is all new. Like, we're doing the best we have with minimal direction. And that direction's on me. So I'm like, totally. Yeah. Like, I'm not coming from a place of anybody's doing anything wrong.
Right.
We're just at a certain place. So we need to accept the place that we're in. And then we're going to hone in and get to what better looks like. We're going to learn
together.
Yeah.
And not refocus even, but frame. Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's really easy to see, because I've seen stuff go up where I'm just like, oh man, that's so frustrating.
Sure.
I don't really know how to approach that. And I think it's a combination of a bunch of different things.
I guess, yeah, when I'm hearing what you're saying, I'm also hearing it in the context of you've set that table where maybe you hadn't before, right?
Correct.
So I'm hearing it in the context of what you said versus totally. The past would make sense. If there isn't a good context to jump on that, then it feels bigger, right? But based on, and even though it's starting, I'm sure it feels weird at first because it's starting, but you set that table and now you're like, okay, here's some of the things I'm going to talk about, or I see.
Yeah, and I think setting the table is super important, but I also just feel that it's something that a lot of leaders and business owners struggle with overall. I mean, how many times, and it's hard, it's I don't like the vagueness of this, but it'll have to be vague because people have their, because privacy is important. Yeah. But it's like, how many times have we had discussions about certain people in our leadership meetings or executive meetings, like week after week after week after week after week, like, and you say you're blunt about it, and like we like me, you, and Charles would all say that we're like pretty direct and are willing to claim what we want.
Still hasn't sucked
but
in
oftentimes we don't.
Yeah,
and so I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sure it's a different motivating factor for different people, and there's a lot of different parts to it, but
I think it's layered for sure.
My encouragement to anybody who is feeling like that is generally, actually 100% of the time, every time I've leaned into what I know to be true and what I believe, it always works out for the better. 9 times out of 10, people are craving that feedback and direction. They want to know that they're doing a good job. And that was the experience at the end of our meeting yesterday. Everyone's like, dude, we're really doing it. This feels so good. Like having everything be a known factor. Nothing's foggy. Criticisms are on the table. Like wins are on the table. Everything's good because it's all pointing us into a positive direction. Like that is generally what I've experienced. And every once in a while you'll find that maybe you got the wrong players in the game, or someone's completely unreceptive to your point of view.
Sure.
And those just don't end up working out. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to lean into it, but it's not, at least for me, it's not easy.
No, I think that takes a certain amount of relationship building and time too. And I think it takes repetition. That's the thing that kept coming to mind too, is being able to keep repeating so that things sink in. I mean, I've come to realize that things that maybe seem obvious or easy to digest when you're used to working together, I think you, Charles, and I, because we worked together for so long, can get pretty quickly to the same page where things that we would say to each other and be like, that totally makes sense, don't actually translate at all the same way to a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past. And so for me, that's where I've learned that I need some work to do, or that I need to pay attention, is you can't assume, even though they say yes, that they totally understand what you're saying exactly the way you've said it. And that's great learning too. So the repetition, I think, over and over and re-clarifying has been really key. Because I mean, I'm doing a similar thing. It's just across a few different departments. And so the focus is conceptually, or kind of, even though everything kind of works in a similar way, right? There's your cultural and your organizational and your operational systems. But like, the roastery is heavily operation focused, while the retail focuses are a mix between like leadership development. Again, we still have systems to work on, but a lot of the work that goes behind the quarterly and yearly goals is going to come down to the fun part being, how do we get really good at connecting the cultural to the things that are the framework, like the passport, and how do we get to the point where people can absorb the dailies and the handbook stuff like in a value centric way, not a checklist to do centric way, even quality driven specific way. Like quality is going to come with it, but I want everybody behind all of that to connect to the values proposition and how they work. And so that to me is going to be a really fun process and project, because we have all this framework, we have all the verbiage, but there is a pretty significant art to teaching leaders first how to make decisions and to speak to the things that we do, always connecting it to how it works in the values way, and in a way that it doesn't feel like you're just squirting a verbatim, like, well, we work together with empathy and intentionality is a concept, like it's like, yeah, totally. I heard you say that like 1,000 times. Now that I hear you say that, like, I know you're going to say that. It doesn't mean anything to me. So, there's going to be a lot of art in that. We had delivery. It's super fun.
We had part of that conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
She was on point. She was so hungry. It was pretty awesome.
I bet she was loving it.
We were doing the work review, and then she said, hey, we got an Instagram post. It's about to go out in 10 minutes. I scheduled it yesterday. Can we just pick that apart? I'm going to pause it and, I'm going to reschedule it. And I was like, yeah, let's pick it apart.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
And, there's a picture of the Tuesday latte art
practice thing.
So it's not every Tuesday, is it? Or is it every Tuesday?
They do it. I think it was written as every Tuesday. I don't think it's every single Tuesday. I think it's maybe monthly.
Yeah.
But still.
So it's
maybe bi-monthly, but
an employee-led initiative to our group.
Very
of people awesome. We're gonna get together on Tuesday and practice latte art, and we're all gonna learn from each other, and we're all gonna just dive into and embrace this culture of coffee and try to be better.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not paid. It's not mandatory. It's not anything. It's the employees created it. It's fucking rad.
Best thing ever. Shout out all of you who participate. Thank you.
Super killer. So as a host of that, and then the copy, which was fine, was something that, said the mission explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
Inspire connection by creating memorable experiences, and then claimed one of the values. Here's how we're, actively pursuing better.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
What you've said, this is our mission and this is one of our values. But let's think about how would you share this with someone if you were meeting them for the first time? How would you talk about some of the things that we do in a way that feels natural and human? So let's say our mission is inspire connection by creating memorable experiences. Depending on the social context, who I'm talking to, if someone asks, like, what do we do at Cat and Cloud? I'm probably not going to give them that mission snippet verbatim. You know, depending on what's going on, I might say something like, "Oh yeah, I mean, like we really believe in the power of day-to-day experiences, and we wake up every day wanting to give people experiences that they're going to remember forever."
Right.
You know, or maybe it's like we're creating moments that are let people feel empowered for the rest of their day, and you know, create energy that people can carry with them. You know, there's a million different ways to articulate that depending on what's going on.
Right.
So it's not like, to your point, it's not about a sound bite. It's more about a feeling.
Exactly.
It's more about understanding really deeply what the mission means, and you can articulate it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so we had these 2 sound bites of mission and values. And I asked Kira, I was like, so what's the coolest thing about Tuesday to you? And she basically said what we just said. She's like, well, it's really cool because it's an employee-led thing. Everybody gets together. We're supporting each other. And it's just cool to see people taking initiative and wanting to engage with, you know, the process that we do. And I was like, great. That's your caption.
Right.
You know, we don't have to bury it underneath these scripted taglines of any mission and any values. We don't have to state these things explicitly.
Right.
We're getting at the heart because they're totally connected. Like, yes, they're actively pursuing better. Yes, they're creating it.
All the values
experience.
actually literally are in there. There's ownership, there's teamwork, there's artistry, there's there's a little bit less hospitality, but it's still whatever. Everything is there.
Yeah.
And that's badass. I think there's, exactly to your point, you need to be able to speak to it in an authentic way. And then what's interesting is I want to be able to shine the light on those things also in the reverse, where it's not, you're not delivering it just to deliver it the verbatim, but it's like, hey, you do see that you're nailing all these things, and that's maybe why it feels so good, you know, and being able to teach it both ways. You know, there's the communicating it so that it's authentic, and then there's reminding people that, like, I wonder why it feels so good. I wonder why it's resonating so well across the board. And it's like, check it out. Here's why. Like, living, breathing, 5 out of 6 values and the mission, super clear in this action, you know? And it's like, and the hospitality is there too, because you're treating each other really well. You're just not like outwardly facing and serving people in that way, but you're serving each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really, that's a baller, like, you can back that, you know? And that's a lot of the fun of the work that I'm excited to do. It's easily a whole year of a project to be able to mix that into some form of like scorecard for our retail cafes, and how does it look in the roastery versus the cafe, whatever. It's a whole thing, but it's really fun to do.
Where are you going to start?
Well, I have multiple places to start. I'm starting with, well, it's going to be retail because we have the passport, right? So I'm still in conceptualization. I'm trying to find out or decide what's not going to be overwhelming in terms of how we look at these things and communicate it, right? You don't want to have the handbook, or not the handbook, the passport and the qualifications to, that's okay, maybe just delete it. My kids are sitting here asking me questions. The qualifications are, you know, there's subcategories that are not in the actual handbook. So what is the appropriate amount of like connection, and what are some examples that we can like lean into is going to be huge there. You know, it's like I wrote out all the values and I'm like, okay, how much of this, you know, there's a lot of exploration to do there. There's an understanding of the values, there's an understanding of this thing, and then it's like the bridge in between, it's still to be built. So I don't have the specifics. The concept feels clear as to what I want to get from it. The next part is like how much, what's going to be digestible, and what's overwhelming. Like we used to have hats, right? And that was an abbreviation to whatever, an opportunity for us to lean into an experience and do a good job.
Hospitality,
artistry, time, and show.
Oh yeah, time.
At the time. So
I almost claimed teamwork, dude.
It's all good, dude. Well, teamwork is our value now, so that's great. So we had this, which it was really powerful and actually worked really, really well. Prior to that, it was CASE, which was courtesy, accuracy, show, and efficiency. And all that's neither here nor there. Those were just frameworks that worked really well. The values should work the same way. It's just not necessarily something where you can be like, spell out a thing to remember really easily. So there is, and maybe there is actually a way to do that. I don't know. I don't think so. But we're going to put it together in utilizing some form of a concept so that it's like referenceable and you kind of like keep that framework going. It's basically probably again repetition and practice. Back to what I said to you, repetition, practice, and actually just doing it and doing it together. We do have twice a month we're working towards, after Herman hires the leadership to take place in the new cafes, or the new leadership in the cafes that currently are standing. We'll have like 2 meetings a month with all leadership. Again, don't quote me on that. It could be partial leadership, but everybody out there, at least team leaders. And we are going to talk through some of these things. And I think that's where we can start,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because the values are, statements and beliefs, and those other systems almost paint a better picture more immediately.
Right.
Like take hats, for example. If you say hospitality, all these things come to mind.
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily come to mind if you're saying something like actively pursue better. It's a little more ethereal,
Right.
Whereas people have some idea of what hospitality is. Even if it's a blurry, they're just like, okay, hospitality, take care of people, be nice to people, always be hospitable.
Yeah.
Like,
Smile.
Yeah.
There's things that come to mind.
Look someone in the eye.
Right. Somebody can try.
Pay attention.
And they can like take a stab at that and feel pretty confident that they're going in somewhat of the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these other things, artistry. We just have some teaching to do. I'm excited about that, but it takes some teaching, it takes some focus, and I just love that we have a great team that wants to lean into those things. They're ready, they feel excited about it, and they feel, backed by a great leadership squad. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel you though. Like breaking all that down is very fun. I'm just interested to see how it looks going through multiple departments and leaders, because we also have a really great meeting about the roastery, and that's going to be very much, same values, right? But the how a roastery works is so much different in that you're not every single day face to face with people, guests coming in. So you have a different way of utilizing our values and the systems to essentially, be really clean and efficient. And you still have a showroom floor, and you still want to give the team the same experience, or a memorable experience, and an experience that goes, man, this is one of the best jobs I've ever had. How do we do that? And, there's a lot we get to do with that and have a lot of fun with it. So I'm amped.
Psyching.
Seriously psyched. That's the beginning of the year. And aside from, combo and having these beautiful cherubims sitting with us. You girls want to say anything in the podcast mic or what? No, you have to come all the way out here and say something. Like you have to put your mouth right here, else they can't hear you. Come on over. Let the world know. Come. You have to see how my lips are there. What would you like to say to the world?
Hello.
Anything else? You want to give them a snippet of something super important?
No.
All right. How about that was Rory, everybody? Israel Halliday McGubbins. What would you like to say to the world?
Hello.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Right on. What's your favorite coffee from Cat and Cloud?
Night shift.
Nice.
Night shift.
Rory's not here anymore, but her favorite's the answer. What did you want to do today before we left to bring home? Oh, cool. She didn't remember. You wanted to do something with coffee today?
New blend.
You wanted to create a little blend out of the buckets in there and create your own little blend to bring home to try? My girls both get like 4 to 6 ounces of coffee a day when at home, and then when they're here, they like those 2 coffees, or they get the black iced tea. Just in case you guys wanted to know. So, anyways, that's shout out to my kids.
Shout out to children.
Well,
dude,
let's run a meeting. We have another meeting unless you have one more thing.
We got 8 minutes. Nah, I was just
maybe jump into something else.
I was just tempted to talk about something different.
Oh, well, you can if you want. We're here.
I don't know. 8 minutes is a tight time frame.
Yeah, we could just like get something started and then not.
I was really interested in all the buzz of the super automatic espresso machine being the World Latte Art Championship machine for the next 3 years.
So that's what it was. It wasn't Barista Comp. It was Latte Art.
Not Barista Comp, the World Latte Art Championships.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fine, actually. In fact, it's really interesting because it puts everybody on like well, I don't know how they're going to program it. Maybe you can program it yourself. But if everybody has to use the same textured styled milk, that's going to be really funny.
Here's how I feel, though. I don't even want to pour anybody else's milk.
No, I know. That's
like, depending on what I'm pouring or how I'm doing it, I'll steam the milk a little bit different.
That's what I'm wondering, yeah.
And
Right.
If I have to pour something that I didn't steam, it's such a bummer to me.
Totally.
Also, unless that machine, which it probably can't because I don't think anything can steam 100% accurate 100% of the time, what are you supposed to do when you get one that is slightly off?
Yeah,
because when
you're pouring
when you're pouring the super technical patterns, like every little bit matters. Like we were playing with that Eversys machine,
right,
which is pretty solid. Steams good milk. You know, I could hand you a picture of it and you'd be like, yeah, this was steamed by a professional barista. You could pour latte art with all of them.
Sure.
So they were consistent in that regard, but for pouring techie patterns, it was nowhere near consistent enough to where I'd feel comfortable saying, yeah, I'm willing to accept this as the machine.
Seahorse with a freaking couple leaves hanging off the side and a horn.
And then it's weird that I've seen people talking about it. Oh, it's it's for the people. It gives access to everybody, but not really.
Yeah.
Because if you, let's say you really want to win that competition, the people who have the means to do so will just buy one of those machines.
Right. And you're still separating
and keep it in the lab, and the people who don't have the means won't be able to. So you'll show up somewhere and it'll be the first time you've ever used it.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I mean, that was always like,
it was kind of like back in the day.
You're right. The competitors could buy the competition machines.
Yeah.
The ballers, the ones with all the money.
Right. So, and it's easy to access some sort of semi-traditional espresso machine.
Yeah.
If you're in the specialty coffee space, they're everywhere. You probably use one every day. It might not be the exact same one,
you could find
but it's still a manually operated steam
one. You could find a way.
But it's probably more rare if you're in that space to find a super automatic machine of that particular one.
Totally.
Like, where would I go if I was going to practice? I don't even know where I'd go.
Yeah, no.
I'd have to say, am I going to spend 20 grand on this? Plus, I don't know. I think these are all competitions built around craft in my mind, and steaming the milk is a part of that craft.
You would think.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's either going to be severely boycotted or it'll just change the face of what that competition is.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. If you're going to have a competition that's heavily craft and then take away the craft part of it. Yeah.
And I'm not against automation necessarily.
Well, yeah, but that's like you use it for super busy cafes and things like that. Like, not for the competition of like the best baristas in the world.
Right. It's like, if we're not doing the thing,
best?
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we got to be doing the thing.
Who's the best? Yeah. Well, who's the best
knows?
pilot? I don't even know. I fly the simulator that they bought me here.
Yeah, it just seems so weird.
I don't even fly a real plane.
It also doesn't seem fun. Like when I was doing the Coffee Fest competitions, there was always that chance where you could mess up. I might fuck this up.
Yeah, you might mess up. You got to steam your milk perfect.
And that's
your nerves play a part in that.
Yeah, it's part of that cool adrenaline rush where you actually feel like you're doing something. Yeah, the stakes are higher. But I don't know. That's fun.
And it makes a difference.
It's a good time. So it's really strange, man.
No, shout out to
Thermoplan. AG, is that the company?
Thermoplan Gold.
Thermoplan
AG. Isn't that gold in the element?
Also, I mean, I don't know, dude.
You started.
I started.
I think I gotta get my computer set up so I can do this whole L7.
Oh yeah, L7. You're gonna save me from going on a huge rant that I don't actually need to go on. People are showing up.
We should rant next time.
Yep. All right. See y'all later.
Good morrow.
Bye.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, let us know, or tell a friend. These are the types of connections that are the most important to us and that we seek to create every day. If there's something you heard and you want to know more about, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com or head to our website, catandcloud.com/podcast, and let us know. While you're on our site, check out everything we have to offer. Dive deep into one of our single origin coffees or pick up a little treat for yourself. We have something for everyone, so check it out. Also, find us in the usual places, YouTube, Instagram. We're always there sharing amazing things. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for being awesome. We'll be back next week.